everyone, my name is Lexi. I'm a naturalist that works at Baltimore Woods Nature Center in Marcellus, New York. Today I'm going to be using a watershed model to show you how water flows across the landscape and what it may take with it along the way. A watershed is an area of land that contains rivers or streams that drain into a single, larger body of water. As you can see, as I'm spraying the model with water, or when it rains over a landscape, the water is going to flow towards the two rivers and finally into the lake. This watershed model could work for Onondaga Lake, Skinny-Atlas Lake, Oneida Lake, or Lake Ontario as well. We're going to look at this model in the context of the city of Syracuse and Onondaga Lake. I'm going to add a few things to our model here that's going to give us a little bit more of a realistic look at what water can pick up as it moves across or through a watershed after it rains. So I have got a few different colored powders here. This powder is going to represent road salt. So I'm going to sprinkle it on our roads all over, even in the parking lot over by the school. My next powder, this orange powder, is going to represent either gas or oil that leaks from cars. It might even leak from these construction vehicles, might be on the road. My next powder is this pink one. It's going to represent pesticides, herbicides, and fertilizers. So I'm going to add that to the farm. And then I'll also add it around the houses if people use it on their lawns or in their gardens, things like that. All right, the next thing I'm going to add are these little rainbow sprinkles, and these are going to represent litter. Okay, just in true litter form, it's going to get blown all over the place by the wind, so it's going to be all over our watershed model. Okay, and the last thing that we're going to add is these chocolate sprinkles, which I think you can assume will be going over by the cows. This is representing animal waste, which means I can also put it around the houses as well, because there's going to be animals all over the city. All right, I am going to get the rain clouds ready. What do you think the water is going to look like in the lake the next time it rains? As you can see, when rain drains into the rivers and ultimately into the lake, it brings with it all those pollutants that were on the roads and on the farm. This means that the rivers and the lake can get very polluted during wet seasons. I'm going to drain the lake so that we can really see what color this water has turned now that we've made it rain on our watershed model. Alright, so I drained the lake, and you can see that the rainwater picked up quite a few of those colored powders, or those pollutants, on its way through the watershed. Now, if we want to reduce the amount of pollution that's getting into our waterways, we're really going to have to be creative, because as you saw in that demonstration, it's very easy for these pollutants to get into our waterways after large rainfall events. One method that I've seen used around the city of Syracuse is the use of green infrastructure. Green infrastructure is basically, it captures the rain where it falls so that it reduces the opportunities for it to pick up these pollutants on its way through the watershed. So we're going to go through a couple of examples of green infrastructure. We're actually going to add them to the watershed model and do the demonstration again so that you can see for yourself whether green infrastructure can help reduce the amount of pollutants getting into our waterways. One form of green infrastructure is porous pavement. Now, porous pavement is very similar to regular pavement, except it has less sand in it, and this one also has some recycled tire in it. Now, what's special about porous pavement is that instead of the water running off of the top of it, it allows the water to pass through it, which means that the ground underneath the pavement can soak up that water and trap it and filter it. So we're going to add porous pavement to our watershed model in the form of these pieces of felt. Another form is a green roof. Since there aren't always a lot of spaces on the ground for gardens, buildings such as the Gateway Building at SUNY ESF utilize unused roof space instead. This ties into another form of green infrastructure actually, which are rain gardens. Plants and trees trap water in their roots, and any water that they don't trap will get filtered by the soil around them. So we are going to use these sponges to represent water being trapped and filtered. And a rain garden is another easy form of green infrastructure that you could implement in your area or even just around your home. The last thing that we're going to add to the model are rain barrels. They collect and store rainwater, which can then be used to water plants, wash outdoor patios, or even chairs and things like that. And rain barrels are a very easy form of green infrastructure to again implement in your area or around your home. So I'm going to fill in the rest of the model with our forms of green infrastructure, and then I'm going to add our pollution, and we'll do the demonstration one more time. What do you think the water is going to look like this time now that we've got the green infrastructure all around the city, kind of protecting the water from picking up those pollutants? Is it going to be dirtier or is it going to be cleaner? Okay, so I drained the lake and you can see that it's not too bad. There's definitely still pollution in it, but you can almost see through the water. If you compare it to the water from our first demonstration, it's definitely a lot cleaner. This water looks like it's much better for swimming and fishing, or for the creatures that are living in and around it. They'd be a lot happier with this water. Now, it may not be plausible to replace all pavement with the porous kind or put green roofs on every building in Syracuse, but we can try our best to implement as many of these methods as possible. Clean water is important not only for humans, but also for the creatures that live in and around the lake and streams and rivers that are all over Syracuse and all over New York State. Now, if you want to learn more about green infrastructure, to find those places where green infrastructure is around the city of Syracuse, or ways that you can help, visit savetherain.us. Thanks for tuning in. Continue to check in with us on social media or on our website for more Earth-focused content all week long. Bye!